Will be better for me. The Pain Clinic Pro Wrestling Talk Show. When you feel the pain.
Enough of that. We're late. We're late. We're late. We're late. We're late. We're late. Welcome to the Pain Clinic for March 28th. I gotta tell you something. When your machine updates and then all your passwords reset and everything, and you learn in the last couple of minutes before you're going live, you got to be careful of that. But welcome to the show. It's March 28th. Let me go through my plugs real quick and then get to who's here. I see everyone's here. It's very exciting. So holidays today, there's just a couple. Something on a stick day, okay, and weed appreciation day. Well, it's not 420, so maybe it's like weed in your yard or something. I don't know. But birthdays today, there's one birthday. Mustafa Ali is 39 today. I think Mustafa Ali is still in TNA, right? Danger? He's still there, right?
Yeah, I think he's still there.
Yeah, I think he just came back. He disappeared for a while and then he came back. He's the guy that had the "I'm not going to lose" clause, when he's on Independence. So you got to be careful of that dude. But he is 39 today. Interested in roller derby? You want to be a skater, officiate Rock City Roller Derby needs you. Contact recruitment at rockderbyrecruitment@gmail.com and join Rock City Roller Derby. They're on the road today to Akron, Ohio, to play the Akron Roller Derby. So pretty cool. The men's team is Flower City Fear, FLOUR, Flower City Fear. Check them out. We're always looking for help and skaters and everything. So let's get into the guts of the show. First of all, I'm your humble host, the Cash Man. I'm joined by DC Dan Cole in his John Huber shirt.
Good morning. Another beautiful day on the worst timeline imaginable.
Yeah. It's been going down the old pooper, as they say. We're also joined by Danger Boy from Gates, New York. Just having a birthday this past week. Danger, happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much. I don't recognize birthdays anymore, though. I figure if everyone else can lie in this country, I might as well just start doing it myself.
Yeah, why not? Why not? And the other panelist joining us is Rob Sanderson, the RT, formerly known as the Artiste. Rob, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm not like the third suitor or whatever. That's fine. It's okay to be a minute late or so. Sometimes it's fashionably late, and also this show used to be on at 10:05 a.m., so we're still early.
True. Yeah, I'm like mad dashing, punching in passwords because I couldn't even send out the invites. Once the invites got sent out, I forgot. It's like okay, all hell's broken loose. So, but we are here. We're live on Facebook. You can join us in the chat room. I believe we're live on Facebook. I'm watching us live on Facebook. So we're here to talk about the world of pro wrestling, man. We are getting into the guts of the year with WrestleMania coming, but there's a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about TNA had some firings this past week. Some people leaving AEW. AEW Dynasty is a week from today. And
Tomorrow.
no, tomorrow, a week from tomorrow. Sorry, it's a Sunday, right? Oh, interesting. I get confused now. I know they're on the weekends. I just don't know what day half the time. Most of them, sometimes are Saturday or sometimes are Sunday. But week from tomorrow, Dynasty, and
It depends on if it's NFL season or not. That'll help you figure it out.
makes a lot of sense. Definitely makes a lot of sense. So not NFL season must be a Sunday. But we do have WrestleMania in a couple of weeks, which is Saturday and Sunday. But the Dynasty is coming up a week from tomorrow. And I want to jump right in. Obviously, we're working towards WrestleMania. It's hard not to talk about it. But what do you guys think? This is kind of was made last night, made official, that the guy who won the Royal Rumble will not be in the main event of WrestleMania this year, of either of the days. We have Jey Uso not headlining the Saturday nor the Sunday show, which is the first time I can't remember in many, 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 many years that the Royal Rumble leader is not headlining WrestleMania. And even when we went to 2 days, it still was either one or the other. But Danger, what do you think? I mean, is last night they made it official that it's going to be Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins in a three-way at the first night of WrestleMania main event. So that immediately means Jey Uso is not. What do you think?
Well, I mean, they're going to play the whole thing out like they have 7 main events like they have previously. Did Shinsuke main event when he won? I didn't
No.
think so. I'm seeing people are saying it's the first time it's ever had. It's not the first time it's ever happened.
No, I know it's not, because there was a time.
Just a short memory.
Yeah, there was a time when WrestleMania didn't have a Royal Rumble winner going into that.
No, but the first time since they did the stupid clause which I like the clause if it's used properly. I mean, it makes sense. The three-way is a bigger match. It's more people want to see that. It's got Roman Reigns in it. It's got Punk in it. It's got Seth Rollins. Jey Uso is going to beat Gunther, even though he probably shouldn't at this point. And, it's not going to be nearly the fanfare that happens at the end of that three-way. So it makes sense. I don't really care that much. It just means that if you don't have a big name winner of the Royal Rumble, you can bet on this is what's going to happen.
What do you think, DC?
I mean, yeah, being the main event of WrestleMania doesn't mean much anymore, especially with 2 nights, because if you want to really get technical, the final match on night 2 is the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I don't care how weepy Punk can get on SmackDown because Paul Heyman made his dreams come true. But it's Saturday night, boo, dude. It's the main event of the midpoint. Okay.
I mean, but besides from that, the only real problem I have with that match being the main event of night 1 is the fact that there's like nothing, there's no stakes. There's nothing really. The storyline is kind of flimsy to me. Like they're just trying to make it work because they wasted the Seth Rollins CM Punk match they wanted when they moved to Netflix. But yeah, at least like, can we add like, hey, the winner of this match is #1 contender or something to spice things up?
Yeah, there's
I just feel like a main event match should have some meaningfulness behind it.
Oh no,
yeah, I think by the end of the match we're going to have meaningfulness because I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Heyman walks out with Seth Rollins at the end of that match.
Wow. So
I'd be okay with that.
Rob, what do you think?
I agree with all of that because I mean, personally, my choice for a night 1 main event would not be this triple threat match that is meaningless or currently meaningless, and also would not be Gunther versus Jey Uso because I could not care less about that match. I think it was the wrong choice of who should have won the Royal Rumble, and maybe they're realizing that now, but that's totally how I feel. I don't think the three-way match has any business going on last if there's nothing on the line. I'm not necessarily saying I want the winner of that match to be put in the next night's title match, but absolutely make it for something.
Yeah, have the women's title be there. I mean, that's
100%.
They've done that before. We've had the women's title end one of the nights, so it's like, yeah, I don't get it. It's that's what I was thinking. It's like, why can't I think
I mean, as much as I hate to say it, let Charlotte Flair and Tiffany be the main event.
Yeah, I'm not a Tiffany fan.
You're trying to establish Tiffany Stratton as a new star, and you have Charlotte Flair, who was the women's Royal Rumble winner.
My only issue with that is they're for some reason handcuffing Tiffany Stratton right now and making her look like she's just coming out of NXT again, as opposed to being someone who was starting to get over generically, like organically with the crowd.
Yeah, and I mean, and Tiffany was heel like until cashing in the briefcase was and still, but that wasn't that long ago. I don't really feel that she had really that much time to establish as a champion. I'm guessing that she will be handing that belt over to Charlotte Flair that night. That's just a feeling again. Then we got the three-way, or it hasn't been announced as a three-way yet for Io Sky's title, which Io Sky won that at the last minute as well. Maybe that's why they can't do the women's, because both of them are kind of like, fairly fresh champions, and
WWE is messing up both builds. So
pretty much, yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna say the Io Sky, Bianca
I
Belair.
have no problem with the Io Sky build at all. They're playing it off like it's Bianca and Rhea, and then Io Sky interjects herself and makes her and stands tall at the end of the beatdowns. So
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
happened a few times now.
they put the obviously that's the angle they're going at, but it hasn't been officially named a 3-way, has it? I don't think
No.
so. No.
well, you have to wait until the title match.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it is hard for me to get up on a lot of what's going on WrestleMania. It really is this year. I don't know, I don't. Nothing is.
You're not the only one that feels that way.
Yeah,
There's so much talent, and I feel like other recent years they've done such a better job of like, you knew where things were going, and you knew like when there was build to not just like Cody and Roman and stuff, but these. This isn't really. This seems like a total mess that I'm still gonna always miss the one night WrestleMania, but for a company that has 14,000 title belts,
Yeah.
a belt should be on the line at the end of a night of WrestleMania. I don't care if, I mean, ideally it would be a women's title, but I don't care if it's tag team. I don't get like something.
Yeah. We got last year was the cash in at the end, right? So that was, that was a
No, the
real.
cash-in was in the beginning of.
I'm
night
sorry.
two.
That's right. It was the beginning of the. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the
Night
Rock's,
one was
like,
the Rock.
tag team match.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was terrible too. With nothing, no stakes. Oh, there was stakes, but nothing.
Directly impacted night 2.
Yeah. So very interesting that, but you know what? I'll be honest with you. If anything I'm going to get excited about this show is I want to see John Cena win that title. I kind of am liking his passionate promos, even though it's tough. I hate when people blame the crowd, and use that as a heel turn move. And that's kind of what we're getting with John Cena. It's like, you were with me, you were against me, you were with me. It was like
But the stuff he's saying isn't necessarily false.
Oh,
That's
I'm
the
not
best part
saying-
about being a heel. You can say the true stuff.
Oh,
And
I'm
the way
not-
he turned it into a promo about, yeah, I ripped on that kid, but you guys laughed at it for an entire week.
Yeah, no, I just thought that, it was interesting. And I really want to see him win. I don't
I also think they're handcuffing him in his promos right now, too, but I think that's because they have this European tour being where it was kind of draws everything out to like a free-for-all for less. And I don't think they know what The Rock's doing yet. I think that's a big issue as well.
I think this tour was bad timing, to be honest with you. If you're setting up WrestleMania, you're shipping people who aren't going to be there for every one of these stops across the world to do a 5-minute bit on Monday night. I think, and it's wear and tear on these guys. I think it's just, having a 3-week tour right before, yes, we're going to get a couple weeks before WrestleMania when they all get back. They're going to be back this week, but it's all, it's like, if you want to watch it, if you're like a stickler and will only watch it live, then you're watching it in the afternoon, and that's the only way you can see
I've got
it.
no problem with that part.
I like though, like they've got these really excited crowds, and so that's a good look going into Mania. I would probably say that it would make more sense to do it after Mania like they used to always do, but
Yeah.
at least it makes everything kind of seem important at this point. The same way that like this wouldn't be as big of an issue, like which match is main eventing, if we would have just, I don't know, not made a second world title, especially when you want to call one of them undisputed. Like then we wouldn't be in this situation because you're still getting your men's world title as the main event, and you don't have one that's not main eventing.
Yeah,
Because that belt hasn't been relevant since it was started.
Yeah, Seth Rollins holding it as well, and yeah, I agree with you. It's still kind of a fresh belt, but it's nice and gold and nice.
Seth Rollins did what he could, but all of the reigns after him have just been flat.
Well, he also runs the issue of when Seth Rollins had it, he was running up against the other champion was Roman Reigns, who was on the biggest run of anybody in recent years.
Yeah.
Right. So it felt like a participation trophy title, basically, because it wasn't going to seem nearly as important as Roman Reigns' reign.
Well,
It's like Triple H's big gold belt.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
before when they handed it to him on Monday night and said you're the champion of Raw now. and then they merged them and then they unmerged them, or whatever. And then they decided to hand out another belt because they realized they need another one for Monday night.
And I don't want any of those guys holding it right now or whatever, but like it's too bad at least the triple threat match isn't for that belt instead.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. It's like, really, there should be some sort of stakes in here, and then maybe, like I said, we got a couple of weeks. There'll be stakes created before we get to WrestleMania. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's, but Danger, I was going to mention, you said you don't mind it being in the middle of the afternoon. There's a lot of people that just read what happened and never watch it. And so you don't get like the feel for what really was going on these shows if you're just like reading the highlights,
I feel bad for anyone who does that because the crowds alone are worth watching these
I am
Raws.
so tired of people singing their songs. They're killing so much time on TV with it. It's like, last night Cody Rhodes comes out and then of course Randy Orton follows. And what are you gonna get Randy? Everyone's singing Randy Orton's song, and it's like,
I think that's the biggest mistake they're going to make in this whole WrestleMania buildup. Is you've been doing 2 weeks now with these hot European crowds, and your final 2 weeks of buildup are going to be back with American crowds, and you're not going to have anywhere near that amount of energy.
yeah.
Well, it also
I don't
doesn't
know
help
where
too that then you're building to WrestleMania where you want to charge people $8 million for a ticket, so you're nowhere close to filling the building.
Have you
which
seen
is not a
They're only 9,000 off a 50,000 seat stadium. They're not that. Oh, they set up 50,000 seats. They're in the 45. They're about 45.
I mean, that's what they've set up, but they could set up a hell of a lot more than that.
Have you seen the prices of the meet?
It's nuts.
$600 to meet the Usos.
I would probably
Who's bringing their family with kids to Las Vegas to then spend like $2,000 on each of their tickets? Like, it's so greedy and ridiculous, and I can't wait to hear about. It's the biggest gate of all time.
Of course,
well, yeah, you're going to hear that, but you can't blame WWE for doing the ticket. It's dynamic pricing. It's the same thing with every concert we see. It's the same thing with all the big sporting events.
And I hate all that.
The entire live,
I hate that.
The entire live
Absolutely.
entertainment
That's killing
process.
the world.
Yeah, is pricing everybody out, but you can't blame WWE for doing it because everyone's doing it.
No,
they're still selling
I blame
tickets.
AEW. I blame the sport. I blame all of it. Like the
I
amount that we have to pay to
them
go
for
to a
charging
concert now compared to before is
$1,500
ridiculous.
Oh
for
yeah,
nosebleeds.
I just bought a couple concert seats for the Killers and for the Black Keys, and
The Killers was surprisingly affordable.
Yeah, me too. I was going to say that. I was shocked. They're grass seats, but I did not pay like what I paid when I went to
Even
Vegas.
the ones under the shell that sold out in 5 minutes, they were only $120 for the last couple sections.
Yeah,
they weren't awful.
No, I think people are going to start realizing that, when they realize that they won't, people aren't going to be able to afford stuff like that. I mean, you can't just do shows for the rich, and especially when it's wrestling fans, that not every, I mean, yes, there's a lot of dedicated wrestling fans who, will shell that money out. Hello, kitty. And, but beyond that, it's just tough. It's just a lot of money. And it's
it's crazy. But like we started the show talking about, I mean, that's the nature of where the world is going right now. I used to pay $30-$40 to see Blink-182 and paid like $350 last year.
Ouch.
Like it's insane.
Yeah.
And WWE does shows that cater to the rich. They're in Saudi Arabia.
It's true. Yeah. I think that what we'll see is, I'm guessing, I can't, when I went to Vegas for the Sphere last year, the prices were like, I saw the prices set, but when I got there and actually paid for the tickets, I got much cheaper tickets than they were, and they were still like in the expensive area according to the presale and everything. So maybe people will be able to get it. I know there's like things going on that entire week there too. But nothing is free, so especially not in Vegas. So
with the dynamic pricing, everything, the prices will come down as you get close to the show when there's still open seats.
Yeah, I agree. I think that will happen, but still, just the numbers they're throwing out there, it's like, well, if you go there without a ticket, and that's what you're thinking, you'll probably be quite happy that when the prices are much lower. But I think that I
think you're also pricing out like some of your biggest fans. Like, but honestly, in the hockey world, people like to say how the lower bowl in Toronto at a Leafs game is a library because it's only the people who can afford like thousands of dollars on tickets. So they come in their suit to the game and they don't make any noise and stuff. Like WrestleMania should be diehard fans, like super excited and stuff. And like the people who are at these shows in London and Brussels and stuff like that are like maybe going to be more excited fans too than you're going to have
Barcelona.
at WrestleMania. WrestleMania fans should be pumped to be there, not being like, oh my God, I just had to like give up my mortgage for this.
Yeah, I
Oh, those European fans are playing out the butt for these seats as well.
yeah, they are. They're
Not
pretty
WrestleMania prices, but they're still up there.
well because they only come once every 5 years, so they're going to make it super expensive.
They're gonna be back there in 3 months, 4 months.
Well, they're going to be bad. They're
Well, we'll see,
Cody-
because
Yeah.
somebody's administration wants to go to war with the European Union and also refer to them
Oh,
as
that's
one
true.
country. So
so Cody
the
was
country
saying,
of the European Union.
it's interesting. Cody was saying last night when he was cutting his promo, then just a couple of days, obviously they're going to be back in the same arena they were in for matches. And so but he was kind of promoting that as well as WrestleMania when he came out and cut cut the promo last night. So it's like, well, so they're hitting all these major places. That's what I mean. It's like John Cena's not there. In fact, they said his last promo Monday was the last one he's doing before WrestleMania.
That I don't mind, because less is more on that. If you had him on every single show leading up to Mania, it would just be the momentum would be dead by then.
Yeah. So yeah,
Keep them wanting more. Leave the cliffhangers, whatever.
obviously we're going to get more of The Rock, I guess, when they come back to the United States. And I know their first stop is in Chicago. So guess who's going to be prominent on that show?
Oh, it's SmackDown too, and they've moved him over with the Roman Reigns stuff because Roman wants to work Fridays. So
he wants to work Fridays. I kind of dug the thing they did last night. They had like the signing, and that's when they made the announcement that it's going to be the main event. But the funny thing about it is my DVR cut off. It's like they must have went a couple minutes over, and it's like
they did.
So I went back and watched it on my phone this morning, the rest of it, and it's like there, obviously something else is going to. So you think Rollins is walking off with Heyman at the end of that?
I've seen it theorized. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. They got to do something to pop that. There's got to be something more. I know they're playing off the favor, whatever that is right now, but I don't think that's going to be enough. They got to do something else to pop it and get
like Heyman. See, when Punk came out, he's sitting there and he's going through the contract, and Roman's like, "Well, you never read one of these before? Come on, hurry up and sign the thing." And then Heyman, of course, goes, "Here it is. This is what you're looking for. Main event of WrestleMania." So everyone assumed that was the favor. But then Punk says at the very end, "Oh yeah, you still owe me a favor." So I mean, they'll play that up for a while. But there is something I want to point out that happened on that show that was a little nod to AEW, I guess, because Drew McIntyre got smashed through a windshield of a car, and he's going, "Oh, the glass." He's like, as he's laying in the front of the car, and Punk walks by and looks at him, and then keeps going. And it's like, I guess, little nod there to AEW troubles, but I kind of laughed when it happened. It was like, even though
I wish it was Drew and Gunther instead of
me too. I wish it was Drew and anybody. Yep. I wish because Drew is entertaining, It's like, he's a hell of an athlete, I love it how he's this past week. McIntyre's like, man, I would have done better in Punk and UFC if I had been there. That's for sure. Everyone's been down on him. Freaking Logan Paul. They're all like, hey, Logan Paul goes, hey, Dana White, don't think only guys will be like Punk if they come to UFC. Give me a chance. They're all like using Punk as a scapegoat.
Oh, please let Logan Paul go and get his face just destroyed by somebody.
That's the thing. Is these guys can box, but man, if you turn it into mixed,
can they? Because their boxing matches are fixed.
I know.
They're against non-boxers.
Or Mike Tyson. I don't know. Mike Tyson got paid well.
There's no doubt in my mind that one time Mike Tyson stopped himself from the uppercut, he would have knocked him out.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then went on defensive for the rest of the fight. Like, oh, if you don't stop, you're not getting your money type deal.
Yeah, true. He's like, yeah, don't kill him. He has to win, but I don't know. I think that they've got a bad rep now. A lot of people are like, I don't think we're going to box with this guy unless they can get Conor McGregor to do it. But Conor McGregor's a piece of crap, so it's like,
Well, I mean, Jake Paul had Canelo set for a fight, but wanted to fight him at 50 pounds heavier than Canelo, and that's just stupid.
Yeah, because they're all owned by the same people. It's like WWE. UFC, and that's why last night you also saw a new debut of a new announcer who worked, I guess, in mixed martial arts before he came to SmackDown. But we do have a new, now that was it Lillian Garcia who
Yeah, it
was
was Lillian.
okay, so it was Lillian because I forget because they flop between they're so up on this brand separation, and but then I have a hard time figuring out who's on what brand now. It's like because they all show up all the time everywhere, anyways, except for like you said, Roman Reigns and Punk, Seth Rollins now are only strictly SmackDown, but Cody Rhodes is everywhere, so it's been but I just don't. I don't feel the fire for this WrestleMania yet. It's just not there, I mean, I hope that they can, there's some. I like the matchups; are a lot of fun, but there's, it's just. I think there's a lot of things they're pushing aside to make sure that these main events are like way bigger than everything else.
It's been the problem they've had for the past several years. It's that let's put all of our eggs in one basket mindset.
I mean, I will say though, I feel like in the last couple of years there was, I don't know, I had more interest in some specific matches. I think it was a good point made earlier about they're giving away some of these matches that they should have just held for WrestleMania. If you had waited for Rollins and Punk one-on-one, yeah, sure, you got to find something else for Roman to do, but like that would have been a bigger deal. I mean, even like the stuff with Rhea dropping the title and stuff. I don't know. I understand like you want big moments for like your Netflix premiere and this and that and all these other PLEs, but I feel like it's an issue in a lot of wrestling now in terms of giving away the big matches on TV because if you can call it TV, because again, we're in a much different world now than we were 20 years ago, where
Oh, yeah.
the TV ratings are the most important thing to these companies, and the pay-per-views suffer because of it.
No, I agree. I agree. You made me think of something. Man, what I was thinking. I said something crossed my mind when you were talking about. Oh yeah, what I think originally it was supposed to be Roman Reigns and Solo were supposed to work together at WrestleMania. I know that there was talks of that.
There's a natural story there. I mean, yes, Solo sucks, but like that at least could have been built to be more important.
I would have much rather seen Jacob Fatu and Roman.
Yeah,
Oh,
that too,
100%.
but
Yeah.
yeah, that too. But it's like those guys really have nothing going. I mean, Jacob Fatu does, but Solo,
They're seeding the doubts between Jacob and Solo, so I don't know if that gets done before WrestleMania.
I don't think it does.
I do like the IC title stuff that's going on. I don't like that it's a four-way, but I'd like the guys that are in the four-way. That should be entertaining at least.
True.
That ends up in the four-way. I'm sorry, it hasn't been announced yet or anything like that, but it's going to end up being Penta, Finn, Braun Breaker, and Dominic most likely, and that should be entertaining at least.
Yeah, I agree. We did have a Ray Phoenix promo last night on SmackDown official. They weren't just teasing it. This time it was
Funny,
full.
who would have thought the guy with the exact same tattoos, the same height, same stature, same gimmick looking thing would have been Ray Phoenix?
Yeah. No, who's that? You mean, what they call him again? Los Americanos or something? I can't remember. What is Chad Gable going as now with the mask?
Grande Americano?
That's it, Ronde Americano. So it's like,
It's not Chad Gable. They were seen in the same place at the same time. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah. You mean when Ray Phoenix had his debut a couple weeks ago? Yeah, they made that. That also, I believe it's Malachi Black or Aleister Black or whatever he's going to go by coming back too as well. They're running promos.
Yeah, well, that's not until after WrestleMania, so that's going to be.
Oh yeah, it's too close to WrestleMania to debut somebody. I think everybody.
Well, Ray Phoenix is debuting next week.
Ray Phoenix is, but yes,
yeah,
they did say that they did bring the brother, being the brother of Penta as well. So,
Well, it's tricky too because like you mentioned the guys in the four-way there, like they all should have a spot on Mania, but you look at it from the other side as well. It's the same issue that people like me have with every Tony Khan pay-per-view. Like, oh, we got to squeeze every single person onto this card. We don't need four ways and three ways and everything like on every single match, but then you're leaving people off or whatever. I just wish there was a better balance of that, especially if you're doing two nights of Mania. I don't want to see constant, like, I don't know, multi-man matches. The same way it's like, oh, here's this, completely unimportant, out of nowhere AEW pay-per-view pre-show match with 16-man tag. Like, stop. Not everybody needs to be on every pay-per-view.
True. I
I
would
agree with that 100%.
I believe that AEW, they must be still on the old WWE bonus deal. Like when you make a pay per view, you get a bonus pay or whatever, because they technically aren't streaming their pay per views. I mean, technically they are, I guess, but they aren't. But it's not like a service like the WWE Network used to be. Remember how everyone got upset when they went to all the pay per views on the WWE Network, and they're like, "Hey, what about these bonuses we used to get for buys and stuff?" And it's like, yeah, that's the old days, you know. I think that's one of the reasons why Punk was leaving at one time from WWE is because they stopped doing the bonuses and things like that. Or at least that was one of his complaints. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure how the structure works with AEW with that, but I'm sure they do have bonuses based on sales and stuff like that. But this next pay-per-view, Dynasty, which is a week from tomorrow, it's in Philadelphia at the Liacouras Center. Is that how you say it?
Liacouras.
Liacouras
Lea-
Center. Ah!
Liacouras. Yeah.
Okay, Liacouras. That's
Peter Liacouras.
that's
Yeah.
that's I'll give AEW a lot of credit. The last 3 or 4 weeks they've had sold out crowds for Dynamite, and you know what? It's and not that that's a big deal to me, but it shuts up a lot of people out there who like to show pictures of empty arenas. Okay,
Well, going to the smaller arenas definitely helped them out a ton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Liacouras Center is small. Well, I mean, relatively. Was it hold like maybe?
Well, their pay-per-views haven't been
It's
the
a
issue.
Blue Cross Arena size.
Okay. Because I'm trying to remember. I couldn't think of how many people. I mean, when I'm there for roller derby, it was like virtually empty. So it was. No, it wasn't. It was much smaller because there wasn't that many people. But nevertheless, yeah. So, but it's like, yeah, they've been doing the smaller venues, which is good. Maybe we will get one back at the Blue Cross Arena then sometime soon because that they made that look pretty full. But they've had great crowds recently. So and they've kind of like been boasting about it. But of course, you have to. WWE does as well. Like you said, every pay-per-view has been the highest gate ever taken and whatever, the most money.
I mean, for me, more importantly, even than the smaller venues, is please keep doing these like theaters and weird shaped buildings and everything. I want all of that. I don't want these NHL arenas every week.
That place they were in last week is where infamous roller derby, Minnesota roller derby played there. And it's like I've seen it because we had the champs there, like I don't know, 10 years ago or something. So it was really cool.
ECW used to run there too. Like it's just it's a fun look. You get so much more noise and everything. Like I don't know like how many venues there are like that in like Western New York for them to consider. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I'd rather go to an AEW show packed at Riverworks than another KeyBank Center show.
I want like the On Center in Syracuse. They could probably pack that place pretty good.
It shocks me that they still haven't ever ran Syracuse.
Yeah, it's amazing because that place is smaller than most of our venues here. So, but yeah, so they that's been really big. But they've got, I mean, still the next pay-per-view we've got Swerve and Moxley, and we are still coming off of people talking all week still about Spike. And
there's a lot of people thinking that Swerve's not winning the title, and that's starting to make me nervous because Moxley needs to leave that belt for a very long time. And if that doesn't happen next weekend, I feel like it's going to be a disaster.
Then who else is in line? Is it going to be Hangman eventually then? I mean, like, they only have so many people lined up there, credible people, and it should be Swerve.
Well, I mean, they were probably.
I hope it's Swerve.
They were probably hoping Adam Cole would have come back to where he was, but he hasn't quite yet.
Well, I mean, it's a good problem to have, I guess, that they've found spots for some of the other top guys like Kenny and Okada and all this stuff with the different belts. But I mean, I think people certainly assume that we're going to get back to another Swerve and Hangman at some point. I don't think we need that yet, but Moxley just isn't it. Like you've got, and plus two, like once you get to like the winner of the Owen and stuff, which could be Ospreay. I mean, you've got other possibilities there, but I'm glad that it's not Darby, and I'm glad that I want to still hold out hope that Moxley's finally dropping the title. That I don't know if you can say he drops it if he doesn't hold it physically.
The
I don't know.
briefcase will be handed over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody will hand over the briefcase to somebody else.
That's that.
He gets the briefcase, but then they don't give him the keys, so then he has to have a whole different match for that.
Oh,
He
no.
lost the keys, forgot the code. They can't get into the briefcase.
I heard
The
it.
code for the briefcase is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think they should.
It burned
Swerve
down
opens the
Page's
briefcase
house.
and Swerve opens the briefcase and it's nothing but IOUs.
Ooh, that's a good one. Hold on to that.
Yeah, it's
That's
interesting.
for a Lamborghini. That's a good.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say, I still feel, even though there's doubt in the air, that Swerve probably will take this again for a second run. But yeah, there's a lot of, if Moxley takes some time off, which we wouldn't have a problem with. I think that would be great to keep him out of the main event. Then you can have Swerve and working with some of the other guys that he had never really had a chance to work with, like Kenny Omega and some other people. So, maybe, I don't know. Kenny Omega doesn't need it right now. He has one nice shiny belt already, but there's a bunch of people out there that, who knows, some ex WWE guys might have a better chance against Swerve than they did against Moxley. I don't know. Nevertheless, we also got Tony Storm and Megan Bayne for the women's championship, and Megan Bayne's a monster. I love Megan Bayne. How soon we forget about the last champion, though. But oh well. Yeah, that's coming. That's good. I think that's.
There might be a reason that, she's negotiating a new contract supposedly.
I heard her contracts were coming up to an end this summer sometime. So hopefully, but yeah.
I think they're just waiting for
Undertitch shirt.
I think they're just waiting for Mina to come in and they get that storyline going and stuff. And I'd rather that than her just be in like random mid-card matches. But I don't know. I think they've built Megan Bayne really well. And winning 2 Dynamite main events in a row and stuff. That match is starting to feel like it, almost should be contending for closing Dynasty. It won't, but I think it's that's one thing they're doing really well. And obviously I've been campaigning for Megan Bayne for years, so I'm really happy that finally they brought somebody in and they're actually pushing them. Though it does make me a little nervous that Megan won again this week, because that almost would make you think that she's losing at a pay-per-view. But
yeah,
I don't know. Guess we'll see what happens.
We got a little tease of her one-on-one with Tony in there for a while. Since it was tag match, but it was, I think that it's a little tease. So yeah, I think it's kind of, we'll probably get a lot more of that this week. This is the big week setting up all the rest of the matches. But we got Kenny Omega and Mike Bailey and Ricochet going against each other too. Ricochet just being married this past week.
I wonder if there's a potential, I hate to use the word swerve within a different AEW match, but everybody's convinced that we're just leading to Omega and Okada for like a belt unification at All In and stuff. Like, the internet has decided that for months, and it's not a bad assumption to make, but maybe they do something else and like there's a surprise that like Ricochet takes it or whatever, and then Kenny goes and does his other stuff without holding the belt or whatever. I don't know. I could see something like that happening.
I like Ricochet and I like what they're doing with him. And I think, I like his new attitude, kind of, I guess you would consider it.
Yeah. He's been more interesting with that than when he came in as a babyface, or, than he's been in years. I enjoy it.
As long as nobody's throwing toilet paper at him, it's okay, yeah, I like.
It's a good thing he didn't do this gimmick years ago then during the shortage.
Yeah,
they would have been valuable.
Everybody's just throwing bidet boxes at him.
Oh God. So that's gross. So and then there's only 4 matches so far announced, which is amazing because by this time you figure there would be 11 or 12, but there's only 4. The last one's going to be for the trios title with obviously with Claudio, Pac, and Yuta against Harwood, Wheeler, and Copeland. Though I think that was it Harwood who had kind of like left everybody the other day? Yeah, he kind of like he was disappointed, and so I don't know if that's going to have anything to do with this or a split with those guys or what. I have no idea, but
building up to FTR versus Edge and Christian.
Maybe that's what they want, maybe that's it. I mean, who wouldn't want? I mean, it wouldn't be bad to see those guys again. I mean, Christian's great on the mic, and he definitely, and of course as well as Copeland or Cope, sorry, but I think that there's a lot of potential there. But yeah, what would that be at All In? I'm guessing.
It could be a double or nothing. I mean, they got to build that up. That used to be like the biggest show of the year before we started doing like those Wembley shows and stuff. So
yeah, true.
there are options, which is a good thing. So
isn't that where Double or Nothing, where the giant bingo chip came out of or whatever? Isn't that where
the poker chip.
The poker chip? Yeah. No. Okay. So
Can't really do that as much this year with it being in Phoenix instead of Vegas. So
and the fact
I don't
that,
know what Phoenix's gambling
A
landscape is like.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think you can gamble there, but you can gamble everywhere apparently. But so that that's
Shout out to March Madness.
there we go. Yeah. By the way, March Madness. Whew, my final four still alive. Yay! For another couple maybe hours. Who knows? But it's been a great. By the way, you're watching the NCAA tournament. It's been a good one this year, man. There's been some great games.
A lot of people are very down on it because this year didn't have the upsets that they've had.
No, but I mean, look at you got
Well,
number one seed Florida who squeaks by Maryland, man, and it was like there was a
We had number one seed squeak by yesterday with Houston, and
they knew this coming in that they were all evenly matched, so what you would expect upsets, but man, the team
You're not going to see as many upsets as you used to. Thanks, NIL.
yeah, that's true. So yeah, we are. But we're getting down to it. So that's which is exciting. Usually, with Final Four times usually means WrestleMania too. But we still got like 2 weeks till WrestleMania, I think. So
WrestleMania is later this year because Vegas paid them to have it that weekend.
it's a weekend
Because no one goes to Vegas Easter weekend.
Yeah, it's the weekend of Easter, so it's like, man, it feels late. It feels real.
It is.
I remember baseball used to start around WrestleMania, or it was like, and now baseball, where it's going to be a good couple weeks in before we get to Mania. So. Yeah, I'm disappointed it's this late. It makes sense now, though. You're at Easter. I think, even with the prices, I don't think you're going to still get a lot of people. But
Is night 2 of WrestleMania Easter?
Yes.
I think it is. Yeah.
And 420?
That's
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Oh, my God.
So you wake up in Vegas, you go to Easter church, and then you go to the 420 store, and then you go to Mania.
Travis
Yeah.
Scott's going to be giving everybody black eyes.
When I was in Vegas last summer, right across the street was like one of those 420 stores. It was like a mall of it. So it's like it's crazy there. Yeah. So one other thing I want to talk to before I get to the news was TNA dumped a bunch of execs this past week. They went and pretty much cleaned house of everybody. The executive producer of the TV show. I mean, there's not a lot of names you might recognize except for Gail Kim. And Gail Kim was the head of talent relations. So it's like, it's very weird that they, I mean, obviously they're in a very cost-cutting kind of cost-cutting way with the company right now. They made a big deal this past week about signing somebody I'd never heard of before. So I don't know if you guys saw that. She debuted, I guess, on this past week too. It was a female wrestler for their
Maggie Lee.
Yeah. I don't think should I have heard of her? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, she's a Seth Rollins student, but she's still pretty young. But she's worked, I mean, tons of the top indies. But yeah, I wouldn't say she's a big name out there.
Yeah. So but amazingly, they cut their executive producer, the guy who's in charge of pretty much the product. And now the president, I guess, is running the show there. The guy who's the president of the company. So
Until they fire him and get a fourth president in the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them. I mean,
I can't imagine being a TNA employee and what they've gone through the past year. Like, you keep getting all this momentum, and then they keep like, oh, we're changing again. These people are fired. Like, the confidence in the company you're working for can't be very high right now.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that are fired was Rami Glazer, who's was a marketing person there with him. Everyone liked, but Rob Klingman, who worked for them, brought them $1 million in sales last year with with big companies like Tops and Vita Coco and whatever. They this guy
You
brought
say you're in love with the cocoa? What?
yeah, no. I think I'm not sure what that is, but but he brought him like $1 million in the past year, and they fired him. Head of digital operations, they fired. You know, it's amazing.
Hmm.
And Gail Kim, and then of course, obviously TNA president Carlos Silva, or no, yeah, Carlos Silva's taking over for their guy who was pretty much in charge of everything on the air, Ariel Schnerner, who's like the guy. He was so there's a bunch of people that got the axe, and it's like, what do you think next time you go to taping? It's like everyone's going to be new there, apparently. You know, it's kind of sad, but you know, they I mean it's been bad ever since they got, you know, when they got, you know, when they started the firings a year ago, when they started this relationship with WWE. A lot of people are thinking that this is setting up for WWE to purchase them.
It's I heard a good counterpoint to that is why would they, if they don't purchase them, they just kind of keep them afloat. It's shows that they're not a monopoly, or like it helps to, you know, quell talks of the monopoly stuff. If they buy them, then the monopoly stuff will pull back up again.
It makes some sense too, but it's
But like I heard a rumor Gail Kim got fired because she was in an argue, like she was arguing a whole lot with one of the other guys who got fired, and Carlos Silva didn't want to make a choice, so he just fired both of them.
wow. And Gail
Great executive there. Great executive.
but I will say they sought Gail. They were someone who was like one of the people who worked there who said that they've been trying to get her hired in talent relations for a long time there, and they finally got her hired. And then
I also heard that a lot of people aren't going to resign if given the option because they got rid of Gail.
yeah, so it's that's you know, Gail Kim, former guest by the way on the show back the day after she got fired from WWE, but a long time ago. But nevertheless, she was. I think she was like one of the people that like it was like the face of TNA whenever they'd bring out execs and stuff, you know. And it's a shame, you know. But on to the news, and then we'll get out of here. Legendary pro wrestling broadcaster Bill Mercer died at the age of 99 this past week. You might remember if you ever listen to those old World Championship Wrestling videos. I believe his voice was in the Iron Claw movie because obviously they were showing some. They you know they tried to make everything seem like you know the real stuff that was going on for that movie. By the way, the movie's great. If you ever get a chance to watch it, though, I think it's kind of skips over some stuff, but it was really pretty good. But yeah, he passed away this recently, and there's a lot of people throwing out memories of Bill Mercer as an announcer and good things that he had done for the business and everything. So we send our best out to his family. The guy who was hired to do announcing for SmackDown, his name is Mark Shunock, and he, like I said, he has a MMA background, but he did a good job. If you saw the guy last night, I was trying to figure out who he was because it's like I figured they was just called up the dude from NXT, but they didn't. They did not bring him up. They just hired somebody new. So kudos to him. WWE announced this past week that the Natural Disasters tag team of Earthquake and Typhoon are going into the WWE Hall of Fame on Hall of Fame weekend. So they can spend it with Triple H or, you know, let's get to enjoy that honor. It's like last night they showed this video of Triple H going into the Hall of Fame and how innovative he was with all his entrances. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I bite my tongue. I mean, yes, Triple H was, everyone thinks he was the cat's meow from back then, but I mean, he wasn't Steve Austin. He wasn't Shawn Michaels, you know, it was like those guys I definitely put on a higher
He only
plane.
rose to power when those guys left.
I know. And it's like I put him on a higher plane, but they always got to have a quote from the Undertaker saying nice things about him, you know. So it kind of puts it in perspective, right? Because they run a big long audio clip of Stephanie McMahon talking about him, and it's like to me, yeah, that you know what? It's like as much as you think the McMahons are gone, man, their thumbprints all over this company still. So you know. But you guys have any thoughts on Triple H going into the Hall of Fame? I mean, this is not the first time either. He can be like Ric Flair now. He can be like, you know, because Ric Flair's in with a group as well as, you know, what do you think? What do you think, DC? Oh.
Oh, he'll be in probably what, two more times after this?
Gonna go in with well, let's see.
Well,
But
he's
does
in with
Evolution.
DX.
DX get
Yeah.
a separate induction?
Yep. So DX, he'll be in by himself. Yeah, I think it's a matter of time before Evolution's in there. I don't know. They'll find some other way to get him in there.
I mean,
Once
it's
The
for his
executive
once for
wing.
his time heading up NXT, the other for his time heading up WWE.
and it's one time for being the last name you see on every show now as the credits are rolling, right? the yeah. Well, I mean, and listen, I don't know. I shouldn't. I mean, he's very important to the company. I get it, you know, but when I first started watching, I've watched wrestling for many years. There was a period when I stopped, and then when I started again, he was wrestling a hog farmer in a mud pit, and that's how I remember Triple H. You know, it's like and fighting the honking talk man at WrestleMania. You know, and his good things happened when he was like with Shawn Michaels or with DX and stuff like that. That's really what rose him to prominence. You know, they had the whole show on this Rivals about him and The Rock as rivals. I think he was more of like he propelled The Rock up, you know. I don't know that.
Yeah, The Rock took off after that, and Triple H stayed down until the other guys were gone after that.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. Very revisionist history. Like, who picks these things now that Vince isn't there, you know?
Well, if you listen to Triple H, he didn't pick himself.
Okay.
Wink, wink.
Oh well. So I just wanted to throw that out there that that we do have some other Hall of Famers. Also, they announced last night that there's a new wing of the WWE Hall of Fame where it's going to be Hall of Fame moments, and the new moment is Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 12. I can't remember.
13.
13.
13.
Yeah, and that match will be in the moments, and so but they also mentioned that both Bret Hart and Steve Austin will be at the induction ceremony.
And there's rumors the third guy in that match, the special guest referee, will also be inducted in the Hall of Fame. That night,
Oh, we
too.
get to see someone from the UFC, huh? Yes, I heard that too. I heard that they were talking about bringing in
I forgot how big he looked back then until they showed those clips last night, and it's like, oh, he was a pretty built guy.
yeah, that
Oh, Ken Shamrock.
no, you don't want to mention he was also the first. Was he the first TNA champion too? Was he? I think he was. Didn't he win that tournament? That
The Battle Royal,
yeah, I think he was
the
very,
one with
the
Toby
first,
Keith in it.
he was the very first TNA champion. You
I think
know,
so. The
I think-
NWA
yeah.
champion back. Yeah.
it was TNA as an NWA TNA back then, but yeah, he was the very first one. And because they had a battle royal and then they had a match when there was two guys left, right? I think that's how it ended.
I think that's how it worked.
Yeah. So yeah, Ken Shamrock is also heavily rumored.
Was it him in the wall?
It was him in the wall. Yeah, the wall was in there. Yeah, Jerry Tuitt was his name, I think. Yeah. So that's that. I mean, I would love to see Ken Shamrock, and I don't know if he belongs in there, but if you're gonna bring him there,
It's such a short run. That's my
I know.
issue.
Bring Dan
Yeah.
Severn in, make it like an MMA wing. You know, no, we don't need to make.
Well,
it
I mean, when your Hall of Fame is an imaginary place in your mind, you can add as many wings as you want.
That's true. We're gonna make it in space. Once the ISS is decommissioned, we're gonna put the Hall of Fame there. All right. No. So yeah, so now there's a new category where they're gonna have moments, and that's the Steve Austin Bret Hart WrestleMania 13 match, which Steve Austin claims made Stone Cold, but he was already there. He was on his way there. It was just, I think Bret Hart made him look like a good wrestler in the match. You know, he wouldn't give up, and so he passed out, and that's how he lost. And it was like tough SOB, you know. What made Steve Austin was the king of the ring, to me at least. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, Austin 316 says, I just whipped your. Okay, so nevertheless, I mentioned earlier, Ricochet got married to Samantha Irvin this past week, and I saw some wrestlers who were involved in it in his wedding. And kudos to him. Maybe his gift will be to hold the title after Dynasty next week. I don't know. It's cool to him. But big news out this week. I don't know if it's big or not. I've been following Soraya on Instagram, and Soraya has a book coming out I think it's out now. It's out Thursday. But Soraya also made an announcement on her podcast that she's no longer with AEW. But said she had great times there and wishes them the best and whatnot. And of course, in the interview on her podcast, she also talked about going back to WWE. I don't know because she's still a liability to wrestle, so she'd have to be a manager or something. And I don't know. What do you guys think? There's a chance that will happen?
WWE loves the nostalgia act, so there's always a chance.
Yeah, I mean, her first match,
I don't know if she'd actually get cleared to wrestle there, which is what
she wouldn't. I don't think she would. I mean,
which is the only value she would have to the like nostalgia wrestling short run kind of like Trish type deal would be the only thing I could see her doing. Like, there's no reason to bring her into to manage the Kabuki Warriors again or something like that.
What about the Submission Sisters?
yeah, don't go to that website, kids. Good question. I don't know. What do you think, Rob? Do you think Soraya could make it back in WWE?
I feel like there's a chance that they could clear her. The problem is that she's got that other medical issue where it, like, the stomach thing or whatever that pops up, and like she plans on being able to do a match and then day of or whatever, like, has to cancel on it because it like flares up and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think there was a purpose for her left in AEW at this point. So I mean, I don't know. It's I think she'll go back there at some point and get a pop. I mean, they could maybe clear her even for just a Rumble appearance or something potentially.
Well, she's got enough experience to be in the Hall of Fame there, right?
I mean, anybody does. So
remember her first match, she beat AJ Lee for the title, I believe. I think her very first match.
Yeah.
Yeah, and AJ Lee left after that. So it was interesting. But but she does have a book out. Check it out. She on her in her book, she talks about the leaked videos and everything and about how that hurt her life. And I think she's a real good story if if she's staying on the up and up and is clean and got rid of that idiot that was in her life.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not 100% fan of her in all aspects, but the fact that she finally walked away from that idiot Roddy Radke, I'm good for her.
Yeah. So,
yeah, but I mean, she doesn't have the greatest history of picking partners.
No.
Yeah. You think Alberto Del Rio's got another chance? No. If he's not arrested already.
Manager for the New Day?
That would work. I think that would work if she comes in the deal. You never know. Listen, they'll find
too fresh in your mind, Danger.
Yeah.
The stuff that they said right after that was leaked, and they're calling out Xavier on TV was absolutely just like hilariously like bad.
Oh, they got in trouble for that too.
Like in retrospect, it was awful, but at the time it was absolutely hilarious. It's like they actually addressed it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So maybe I don't know. You know what? They'll like you said, DC, that they have this nostalgic view on everything. They certainly could bring Paige back.
She's also a former general manager.
Yep. And I think
she was actually solid at that too until they just dropped it for no reason.
You hear about her having like dependency issues, and you wonder, like, when she was in WWE, when were they? I mean, did that make her difficult to deal with, and why they let her go and stuff? Is that kind of like the problem, with her? And if she is claiming now that she, that she's, she's sober and she's like living a healthy.
Wasn't that why she got let go? When she failed a second test and wouldn't go to rehab or something?
Yeah, when she was with Del Rio. So at the time,
yes.
So yeah,
great influence.
Yeah,
Los Del Rio.
S.A. Rios.
S.A. Rios. Yeah, no.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he definitely should be. Whatever happened. Okay, so let me move on to some news. We're after 11 o'clock. I know we started a minute late. I'm sorry, folks. My updating windows kind of screwed me up. So, Mina Shirakawa has an agreement with AEW to come join them. Mina Shirakawa just finished up with her contractual ties to Stardom. So we're gonna get Mina soon on AEW. So I'll take a Mina over a Soraya. I'll trade that out any day.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh
Mina,
yeah.
I love Mina. She's gorgeous. And like I tell you, if you go, no, don't go do it. I was gonna say if you go search her videos, she does some weird stuff.
She's also a more pleasant person, but yeah.
Yeah, she's gorgeous too. So it's like you gotta love her. So, and despite her being signed and the rumors are going around, Britt Baker still is under contract to AEW. So everyone's like making these things. Wow, Britt's gonna be going, and just because we haven't seen her for a while doesn't mean that she's
Well,
not.
this week it was she deleted AEW mentions from Instagram.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, I don't know. It's just rumors, but I don't know. Is that a good thing or bad thing, Rob? What do you think, Britt? Should Britt go?
I don't. That's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. I think she's got to come back as a heel. I think there's a spot for her there, but like, she never was the actual best wrestler in that division. And there's been a lot of talent added to that division that isn't even getting TV time at this point. So, I mean, when you have people like Jamie Hayter and Deonna Purrazzo in the background, like in catering or whatever, you don't necessarily need a Britt Baker back. But I don't know. It's been a long time. It's been it's surprising to me that it's gotten to this point that with her, it kind of feels like the longer it goes on, the more likely it is that she's not going to be a top star or the fans are going to care or whatever.
She'll be like
So
Ricky Saints, So all of a sudden she's on NXT.
I could see it. Yeah.
Well, the problem, like Rob said, she wasn't the greatest wrestler. She was a good personality when she found her act. She was a great personality when that division was lacking that. That division is not lacking that anymore. They have personality and great wrestlers.
Yeah.
And she would get. I think she got lost in the shuffle. She doesn't like taking the step back. And
Yeah.
She was very important during COVID. That's where she made her name, was being, she was always there. She was active on every show, and then she got hurt. And then unfortunately she's had a few injuries that have taken her off TV for a while. And how soon we forget, when they're not on TV, maybe because, I just remember Tony Schiavone always sucking up to her every interview. My friend Britt, and then, I don't know. I hope, I wouldn't mind to see her again. But I don't know, whatever straightened out. Hopefully they're just not holding her off TV until her contract runs out. That's just because that can really be the death blow to your not only your character, but to your career. So,
I mean, if she's still getting paid and she can do her dental stuff on the side still and do all that stuff, maybe she's not in any hurry to go anywhere else.
It could be too. She probably makes way more money being a dentist. So, probably. The family of James Kamala Harris took to Facebook this past week and announced WWE signed Kamala to a Legends contract. Kamala, of course, passed away. James Harris passed away a while ago. But his family will be able to get things with them using his image, which is good because, that's how it should work. Someone needs to benefit, not WWE all the time. So interesting. AEW and Warner Brothers came out and talked about they had the two shows last weekend of Collision split into two, and they actually were surprised at the numbers they got. They actually got good numbers for the relatively crappy times, the 11 o'clock time, and so we've got NHL hockey playoffs coming up in 2 weeks. And so they're trying to do some things different with Collision, because Collision and I think is going to get preempted quite a few times. So which leads to but they're very invested in AEW. So it looks like we're gonna get around the week of WrestleMania, we're gonna get a live Dynamite on Wednesday and then live Collision on Thursday, the week of WrestleMania. And then they're not going to be Collision on the weekend. Obviously, it would go head to head with WrestleMania Night 1. But I think that's pretty cool. They're giving them 4 hours of live TV in the middle of the week. So
That's so much better than a Saturday night. I wish they could do that every week.
Yeah, and they're going to be in Boston. So apparently, obviously, you're probably going to get a good crowd for both those shows.
And that's another one of those really cool theater venues too. Looking forward to seeing that.
Definitely. So that's good news for AEW, and then at least and obviously Warner Brothers Discovery are super invested into them, and they said they're going to get a 4-hour special coming up too. I didn't see specifically when they said it was going to be, but they're going to get a 4-hour.
I don't know if they have a date yet, but they're giving them that as like a thank you for everything.
So they're going to get basically a pay-per-view on regular TV, so or regular cable TV. So
They say like sometime during the Stanley Cup playoffs or something like that.
yeah, I
It
think
might be the NBA playoffs as well.
yeah, I think
It
they
could be
said
any time in there. They got a lot of stuff coming up.
yeah, keep your eyes open because they are definitely going to be getting some more love and maybe prime time love, especially because they I think they were surprised they drew numbers that for these 11 o'clock shows last weekend, you know. And I watched. I mean, believe me, I'm an old man. I fall asleep before too late, but I did get to see both of them. You know, well, Sunday, okay, a Sunday I may have fallen asleep during, but you know, because it was right after the basketball game, so maybe they got a good lead in with the college basketball games too. But I mean, I don't, you know, the games end and then they talk with Charles Barkley for 20 minutes, you know, and then they go to the shows. So we'll see how they do next time they get preempted like that. But if you're going to watch Collision tonight, we've got a bunch of matches for you, and it's live. It's live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin tonight. From the UW Milwaukee, where is it? I can't think.
Panther Arena,
Yeah, Panther Arena. So,
same arena that Austin 316 promo you mentioned happened.
oh yeah, that's right. Big Bill and Brian Keith versus Top Flight. We got TBS champion Mercedes Monet in action. And by the way, I try not to read too much in this, but Kevin Nash had giving his thoughts on Mercedes Monet and says Mercedes Monet isn't wrestling like Mercedes Monet can, and said she's just going through the motions. And that's what Kevin Nash said.
Kevin Nash has had a lot of bad opinions in the last couple of years, and I'm sorry that one might be the one I disagree with the most. She's been having really good matches. Like you can hate on her promos and her character and all this other stuff, but like her pay-per-view matches and stuff have all been solid. So I don't understand that at all. To me, that's just shill Diesel there.
Yeah. Oh.
Kevin Nash could be like 9 months behind in his viewing because there was a time when she was going through the motions and she wasn't having great matches, and it might have been the opponents, but she has stepped up in the match quality.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too, especially after that last pay-per-view, you know. So it's like, I mean, even the TV matches she's had have been pretty good. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. You know, it's like he says she hasn't been the same since the Bailey match with her on the NXT Takeover. I said, well, that was been a while ago, buddy. You know,
Probably
it was like a
clause in
decade
each
ago.
Legends contract you have to crap on competition.
Apparently
Yeah.
so. You know, well, when your best friend or one of your close friends is the guy running the whole show that's paying you for
And your other close friend is the guy running NXT. And
yeah. You know, it's like, you know, I know Kevin watches. He's got to watch that stuff every week. But nevertheless, I wanted to bring that up because it's like I just thought that I don't know why someone pulls that quote out of a podcast he does, maybe a 40-minute podcast, and has that one line. Sometimes they're taken out of perspective, but I'm not going to listen to the podcast. So, nevertheless, Jamie Hayter is taking on Queen Aminata tonight. Jay White versus Kevin Knight. Isn't Kevin Knight Soraya's brother? No. I knew his last name was
Zach Knight.
Zach Knight. That's right. And Dax Harwood's taking on Wheeler Yuta. And that's live tonight. So you can tune in at 8 o'clock on 33 and watch in channel. I'm sorry, I say channel 33. I mean TNT. And if you have cable here in Rochester, it's 33, and watch it. So check that out. This past week on SmackDown, I already talked about it. Drew McIntyre got slammed into the glass, and then CM Punk walks by, you know, and then like, a little handoff to Jack Perry there from AEW. It's stupid that only us stupid marks like me would get that, or very few. I guess most of the people probably don't get it, but I thought that was kind of dumb. So let's see what else. I mentioned Ray Phoenix already coming. Oh yeah, Collision on the 17th. It'll be Thursday, April 17th. You're going to get 2-hour Collision on TBS, and instead of Saturday, which would be head to head with WrestleMania. And it's gonna be in the MGM Music Hall, Fenway they call it. That's where the shows will be taking place in Boston. So I'm guessing it's probably a smaller venue, but it's probably sold out already, or probably will be.
It's a really nice looking like theater that's like right next to Fenway.
Okay. I've been to Fenway. I've been to Fenway, and it's like Fenway's kind of like its own block there. So it's an interesting area. So unfortunately, that we have Dynasty coming up a week from tomorrow. We'll probably talk about it a bit more next week, but they were supposed to have Brian Cage and Brian and his he was supposed to tag in a match against Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, but he got hurt. So now it's Big Bill and Brian Keith. That's why they've been on TV the last couple of shows, I'm guessing. But that was a little change in what they were doing on the pay-per-view or what they wanted to do. Let's see. Okay, here it is. It's All Elite Wrestling announced a special episode of Dynamite on April 16th entitled Spring Breakthrough. The episode will take place, I mentioned, at the MGM Music Hall. It'll mark a milestone as AEW Dynamite surpasses WCW Monday Night Nitro to become the longest running weekly primetime wrestling show on the Turner Networks. And so I wonder if Eric Bischoff will have anything to say about that.
Oh, he's already, I'm sure, talking about it and trying to. He's another one I can't listen to these days.
Yeah, he just, I think he must have had one bad experience with our, he criticized him on something. I remember it was back.
Tony wouldn't hire him, so now he's on this vendetta forever against him, and that's how his every single headline, every single like video he puts on YouTube is like specifically talking crap about Tony. Like that's his entire shtick at this point. Which, like, okay, you don't like the guy or whatever, but like you could talk about other things in wrestling other than just that every single week. But
I'm sure that they will be taking digs at him on this show. I'm looking
I hope
forward
they
to
do.
it. Yeah,
He
me too.
deserves it at this point. So
I am definitely looking forward to it if they do, because it's like I would, because I mean, controversy creates money or cash or whatever, whatever. I don't know. I think he's, I mean, I respect the guy a lot. We had him on a couple times. He was pretty cool. He talked about anything, but man, he's very biased, and he like, he and Hogan almost meant the death of TNA. So I have some issues with that dude. But I got one more piece of news, and we'll get out of here, or maybe two. Gable Stevenson, who was a WWE trainee for many years, lost for the first time in 69 matches.
nice.
This biggest upset in the history of NCAAs. He lost to a guy named Wyatt Hendrickson, and it's the first, like I said, first time in 69 matches he lost, and he actually was still eligible. I don't know how he could be, but he was
This year.
What's that?
They've become more lax with the pro stuff because he did the pro wrestling and he tried out for pro football, but he had a fifth year from the COVID year, and when you're a graduate student, you can still get a fifth year of eligibility.
Well,
They have a guy in the draft this year for the NFL who I think he was a ninth year tight end.
wow.
So he's like 27 or 28.
Wow. I was just talking to a kid at high school the other day. This is really bad for me to say this, but we were telling him, he's like, he should go back and become a freshman again. He goes, oh, 18-year-old freshman. And I said, hey, you can buy all the kids smokes, man. Sorry, this is a dumb joke. Nevertheless. So yeah,
What kind of delinquency are you pushing over there?
They knew I was kidding. Like
Did they?
Tyson. Yeah. I mean,
Yesterday, thinking that the 18-year-olds are all about getting their hands on smokes.
they aren't. They aren't. I'm sure they
I
aren't.
have a feeling kids nowadays are into harder stuff.
Yeah. No, the vape is
You
terrible.
can't buy that till you're 21 legally.
Unless back in the old days, you had to have like a pocket full of quarters, and you could just pull it out of a machine, So they, believe it or not, they weren't checking IDs at that. They tell you must be 21 on it to buy, but
At the bowling alley, when you just put it through the vending machine.
Heck, it was in the Henrietta Town Hall. Okay, there was my dad was like, "Hey, go up and get me some smokes and give me a handful of quarters." Okay, so nevertheless, yeah, it's. And by the way, Gable Stevenson is now training with John Bones Jones for MMA. So I saw that he's been a few of the John videos that he does on his Instagram too, as well. So I'm sure he's done with his eligibility. He lost his last match, and he's on to other things, obviously not wrestling or football. So
When does the lesson on illegal substances take place?
that's a good question. One last thing. Apparently, Mark Henry re-signed with WWE this past week after his contract ran out with AEW. He's officially re-signed. He was in the crowd for something. Was it last week or the week before? I can't remember. He was definitely in the crowd. They said this is what they said. I found interesting in this piece of news. It said that he officially re-signed with WWE, marking his return to the company with a new. Oh, so it's only a Legends contract. He said this news comes after Henry departed from All Elite Wrestling in 2024, where he had been a key figure both on screen and behind the scenes. So was Mark Henry, I mean, that whole thing where he would like promote the main event of the match.
Key figure. Okay.
Yeah, he was drawing those numbers. That's why we put him in there. No disrespect, Mark Henry, but I don't know how key you were when they you took off the air and you were still collecting a paycheck for the last year you were in the company. Which makes me think, how long before the Big Show is back in WWE? Because I can't imagine, besides the fact that he's playing Dungeons and Dragons with a bunch of people. I saw a picture this week of Joe Mangiolia. You know who he is? I think he was married to the girl from Modern Family, the Spanish girl. I can't remember her name.
Sofia Vergara.
Yeah. Sophia, yeah. So he also played Flash Thompson in the very first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
And he also has a very good Macho Man impression.
Does he? Well, he obviously is a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan because he had a picture of him and his crew, and the Big Show was in the picture. And it's like, Big Show plays Dungeons and Dragons. So it's like
some of the pictures I've seen Big Show show up in, I believe that he might have a sidekick just getting paid to show up in random spots.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense though. I mean, it's like, but the funny thing is he was in a small room and his head was almost touching the ceiling, kind of like our seats at the On Center. You remember that, DC?
Yep.
We were sitting so high in the seats that there was a roof on our heads.
And it smelled like beef.
It did smell like beef.
Okay, that's all the news I got.
So much so people kept yelling. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, well, that was Mark. The Mark was yelling beef all the time. It's like, but that's all the news I got. I hope you guys all have a great wrestling week in the chat room. Yeah, sorry I started a little bit late. I'll make sure that my things are all updated before I go on. I feel bad because it's like, man, I'm usually the one who's like on top of that stuff. And then I just but you know what? For some reason, there's a rule this week that if you don't have a Google account, you can't see YouTube videos now. So if you,
I haven't had that. I've had where it asks you to sign in and then it says you can continue as a guest as well.
Oh, does it really? Because
yeah.
Oh, okay. Because but I don't know, because it's like but we use YouTube in my school district a lot for like I am the executive producer of the morning show, and we do it on YouTube. And all of a sudden, like one day, all of these teachers are like, "Hey, it's telling us we have to sign in." And it's like, what? And it's like, yeah, and because Google owns YouTube, you have to sign in with your Google account. So if you're already signed in all the time, it's not a big deal. You'll never notice it. But if you don't have a Google account, it won't let you. So that's something I learned this past week, and it may have something to do with the update on my computer this morning. So I want to thank Rob, thank you DC, thank you Danger, and thank you guys in the chat room. We're gonna get out of here for another week. Next week we'll be promoting Dynasty. It'll be the big pay-per-view, as well as I'm sure there'll be all sorts of Punk news and stuff going on this week. So we'll see you next week. Have a great week and body slam someone you love.